How's your connection there, Dr. Weisheit? Yes, we see the scope. Yes. Yes, she will be talking about, as we can see, non-timber forest products and the development of mountain herbs. Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present you a concept of developing the traditional medicine sector. Now, as we know, mountain ecosystems are fragile of nature. They were usually hard to reach areas and the habitat of high biodiversity. In mountain ecosystems, we also often have indigenous people as part of the inhabitants of the mountain areas. And it's very important to know because traditional knowledge systems and including traditional medicine is an income source and a cultural source. Mountain systems usually have few options for sustainable economic activities and mainly rely on the natural resources as part of the income generating sources. The definition of non-timber forest products, we have everything what is not wood is non-timber. We have three main categories, that is edibles, what we can eat and drink, honey, nuts, honey, pollen, roots, tubers, combs, leaves, flowers, seeds, meat. So these are non-timber edible food crops and sources. We have the medicinal plants, moss, saps, and essences. And my presentation today is mainly focusing on medicinal plants as a key of economic development, while also relying on health and cultural inclusion. The industrial is gum, resins, bamboo, rattan, palms, fibers, flosses, grass, leaves, and others, which are for the industrial use. So how we start? First, we need to start and look at the knowledge. You cannot easily utilize natural resources without using the indigenous knowledge available in the area. So we have to consult the elders and wise men and women in your area, then attending training institution, vocational academic, libraries, where we can find books and literature on medicinal plants and botanical gardens. So these are sources of some samples of sources of knowledge about medicinal plants. On how to acquire, there are also different ways. One is the acquisition through intergenerational knowledge transfer. That is by getting to interact with the knowledge holders in your area. A step further is a parentship, where you spend some good time with the indigenous knowledge holders, the traditional healers in your area, and learn how they practice traditional medicine, how they collect, how to prepare, and to treat patients. And you will find usually that some of the traditional healers are very well willing to show their professions to others. You also find others who are not very willing to share, and this has to be respected. There's also formal training available, face-to-face and online, vocational degree level, master's, PhD, and bachelor, and short courses. But knowledge, as you know, in the .com area, can also be through self-study. There's a lot of literature about traditional medicine, the plants, the harvesting, the preparation of medicinal plants, which plant cures what. Everything is online. So what are the use categories in general? I categorize them in three: treating infections and parasites, For example, Antiplasmodium, worms, scabies, lice, fungal bacteria. For example, malaria and different worm infection. Non-infectious disease, for example, appetite loss, blood pressure, high or low blood pressure, diabetes, eczema, immune disorder. Medicinal plants can also be used for preventing any diseases on keeping the human body healthy. These can be immune boosters, antioxidants, nutrition, and insect repellents. So before we can use the plants, we need to find them. We need to source them. Now, there are different ways of sourcing medicinal plants. This is general. This is for mountain and non-mountain areas. One is collecting from the wild. For example, when you collect from the wild, you need to practice good wild crafting practice. I have uploaded in a folder some documents, and the host will upload it to my folder in the program later. Harvest only the amount you need. Don't be greedy. It's not needed to cut everything and then you waste. Pick only the plant parts you need. So if you only need the leaves while uprooting the whole plant, no, pick some leaves from one and another plant. Pick from a wide area. So when you have, for example, a tree, a small shrub in front of you, and you want only the flowers, then it's not good to pick from one single plant. Go move around and pick few, like maximum 10% of the flowers, 5% of the leaves, and only also 5% of the bark. When you, for example, do bark harvesting, which is of course the least optimal is bark. If you can't use leaves, use seeds, use stems. But if you go to roots and bark, yeah, it's a bit difficult and more disruptive harvesting. Avoid contaminated or polluted area, for example, highways, near industrial area, near sewage. The plants may look very green near sewage, but be mindful they can have harm substances which are not good in the end final product. Very important for accessing wild plants is to know who is owning the land. Is this public land, private property? You can go and pick few plants for your own personal use. If it's private property, no. If it's tribal land, you need permission from the owners, or from the private owners or tribal landowner. You need permissions to collect. If you do commercial collection, you always need a license. And this is also very important to avoid over-harvesting in specific areas. The second option for sourcing medicinal plants is cultivation on farm. So here the picture is showing you two samples. One is the chinjoa tree. This is for the quinine production. And on the right side is rosemary. So they are cultivated on farm, so you can cultivate, and to the right time you can harvest optimally, and they will regrow, and therefore you don't need to go far for collection. You have this on your farm. There's another high bioreactor. This is only appropriate when the plants are very difficult to cultivate. They may not germinate well. They may grow very slow, or the seeds do not even germinate at all. And the vegetative propagation, like the person in the speaker before me said, some plants are very difficult. They just don't germinate. They just don't build colors, and they don't build roots, and the stem or the part of the plant in the soil is getting rotten. Another is compound synthesis. For example, here's a chemical sample of artemisinin from Artemisia annua. These compounds current state are also collected from plants, but also synthesized in chemical factories. That means You become less reliant on the plants. The disadvantage is you have a single compound and no longer the benefit of the holistic composition of plants. For example, the pure artemisinin from the plant extract or chemical may create easier resistance to malaria than using the whole plant. And why? Because the whole plant is more complex in its chemical compound, several compounds working together, and therefore resistance building is very difficult for the parasite. So now we are talking about forms of herbal preparation. Now, when you do herbal preparation, some you do at home and some are professional or small industry do it. Infusions are ready-made beverages. They can come as drinks, hot, cold, made from fresh or dried plants. Tincture is an alcoholic water extract. These have a long shelf life and usually highly concentrated. That means you have a small bottle and you can have the more doses per milliliter than in syrups and infusions. A syrup is the herbal extract in honey or sugar as the carrier. They are usually used for children's medication and flu and cough medication. Another presentation of herbal medicine is powders. You get a powder and say, please brew it as a tea at home and drink. So powders is another form. Tablets and capsules is a very convenient form of herbal medicine. Everyone can carry it around. And in some area, using herbal medicine can create stigma. That is a social cultural challenge, especially in Uganda in Africa. We see that some people don't like to be seen to take herbal medicine. But when you put the herbal medicine in the level of allopathic medicine, capsules and tablets, someone takes the medicine, others will not see what is there. It's just a tablet, it's just a capsule. So, and this high-end formulation like capsules and tablets are also good for the high-end people who are busy in their lifestyle and may not have time to cook a tea every morning or 3 times a day. You just take a capsule 3 times a day or whatever is advised by the doctor. We also have for topical use creams, ointments, and drops. Herbal plants, medicinal plants can be incorporated in cream. A cream is a mix of water and oil come together and it's called a cream. Then ointment is an oil fat base which has no water, that is called ointment, and the medicinal plant is incorporated in. And then we have soaps. Another one is herbal oils. Now, when you do topical medicine, ointments and herbal oils are the easiest to do because they don't contain water. When you have a cream which contains water, preservation and long life shelf becomes an issue. And also when you prepare a cream, it sometimes separates. It becomes ugly and unusable because the water phase is up and down and the oil is up. So ointments and herbal oils are very safe as topical, especially when you do it from home. Now, when you come to the economics, value addition for medicinal plants is very important. These increase the shelf life and reduce wastage of raw material. As I earlier said, medicinal plants are usually a rare source, a rare natural source. So by doing value addition, the post-harvest loss, the losing the plant, losing the product is reduced because the shelf life of a processed medicine is much higher than the raw material. Increase access to people from far from the cultivation and preparation. As you know, the customers, the potential customers may not be there where the plants are. When you have high value added, it's then easier to transport the products to the customer in the urban centers or in the nearby villages. When medicine has value addition, it's also easier to dose, to give the right dose and to administer the medicine to the patient. Higher palatability of preparation. For example, children don't like bitter herbal medicine, and usually herbs are bitter. It's a very common disadvantage of herbal preparation. They are bitter. Now, to get children to take it, syrups is one of a good way of taking it. Some also capsules because they are also smooth and easy to swallow. When you add value to the plant, you're also increasing the quality standards because when you process, there are standards to follow and therefore the quality will be increased. And not least is easier distribution. Instead of having a jelly can of 5 liters of a certain medicine against cough, you can have a small bottle of 200 milliliters and doing the same job to the patient. Now, I'd like to explain to you some framework of developing traditional medicine. Here is the innovation framework, how to incorporate indigenous innovation into the whole ecosystem of innovation incubation. We're doing the innovation stimulation, and we need support systems, government, parastatal, regularity, and actors. The actors are the ones hands-on. Innovation incubators, universities, companies, and funders. The indigenous knowledge and technologies are linked through participative problem and innovation identification, and that is done in the incubator. And then the same system supports the community outreach and technology adaptation for external technology. For example, and often a complaint by the traditional healers was faced that their medicine cannot last long after their preparation. So this system, in our case, we have Pharm-Bio, we're actually practicing. We're one of these people here in the middle who do the work. We are an actor. And we do community outreach to train the herbalists in how to process the plants to last longer. On the other side, the output are products, services, and processes to entrepreneurs and spin-off, and the expertise, skill, and practices, and output for experienced and exposed practitioners and scientists. When you're planning to develop the traditional medicine sector, you need a multitude of people from different backgrounds, professional and economic. We have here, we can start anywhere. We need first a market. If you don't have a market, you cannot make products because they will not buy. You need social scientists and botanists, chemists and biochemists, pharmacologists, biotechnologists, microbiologists, pharmaceutical scientists, pharmacists and engineers. Yeah, I'm one of them. And clinical pharmacy, for example. You need business people. There is a lot of regulatory bodies. This is just a short framework. You need many people to make this happen. The next framework is to build the capacity of traditional healers to develop within themselves, also not external, not bringing a raw material to others to now make the medicine, but to bring the knowledge and technology to the traditional practitioner to do it by themselves. So here is an example. There is the documentation of medicinal species and the usage, the in situ and ex situ conservation. That is the conservation within the environment, and ex situ is the conservation by cultivating the plant. The microbiological and animal assessment. This is important for I'm talking here about the malaria product. It's important for the safety and efficacy of the plant used for upscaling. Because when you start upscaling to a higher production, the regulatory framework comes in and makes sure that the plants are not toxic and not harmful to the user. The post-harvest handling and value addition, then the institutional development of group enhancement. Now, traditional healers usually are organized in groups in their communities, and enhancing this group are very important to developing the sector. Economic empowerment by supporting the participants in value chain development and enterprise design. Business skills development, so that once the companies are formed, they can also then be run very well. And publication, dissemination of research findings and other information to create a consumer perception, a positive consumer perception, and inform the public and the users of what is happening. The next framework is a stakeholder and project intervention matrix. So just for the start, on the left, down myself in Busheni, Rukarawe, where the Traditional Healers Association had used firewood on 3-stone stove, which has two aspects. Is less environmental friendly and is also harmful to health because the lungs are in fact affected by the smoke it creates. Now we have introduced using gas and clean production environment. As you can see, the GMP, the good manufacturing practice, is now provided by having a clean surface. It's not optimal, supposed to be stainless steel, but this is community level, it's not GMP factory. Then stainless steel saucepan, you see the gentleman has gloves on, so there's a kind of a close to GMP practice. Now here we have in the middle the Traditional Healers Association, and they're interfering with pharmacies, patients, service users, microfinance, and access to protected area, which are the source. Now, these green PIs are the project intervention. Where can the project attach to improve these people to have access to these points? So the main points are input dealers. These are for packing material, for process, for ingredients, for technology, and others. The traditional healers also to network among themselves. The government and policies, understanding standards and regulations is very important to develop the sector by the traditional health practitioners. And in the end, the farmers and collectors, they are the sourcing of the raw material. So these are all project intervention. Each one can be designed a project, and all together will then support the sector of traditional medicine. So why is conservation of medicinal plants and development of traditional medicine sector important? Yeah, first, we have a source of novel therapies. Cancers, immune disorders, and resistant infections are hard to treat by the medicine available. And most of the cancer treatments are sourced from plants. We have the taxol from the taxa plant. We have the periwinkle, another plant which delivered a cancer medicine. So plants are source for novel therapies. Economic empowerment for indigenous community. This is a way where people can now get economic empowerment by using their own environment available to them. Protecting of biodiversity through sustainable use. It's very important. Biodiversity is not a museum where I just walk in, look, and get out. And who's paying the bill for protecting it? But when the sustainable use is understood by the forest dweller, by the biodiversity users, the communities around biodiversity hotspots, when they know how to use it sustainably, they are getting interested in it because they can make money and can make a living out of it. And they are now aware that when the source is damaged or destroyed, they are destroyed. sustainable protection is more guaranteed. Some diseases can be cured by allopathic medicine. That's why we need traditional medicine to be existing alongside as a holistic solution or option for treatment. Cultural pride and identity of indigenous people. Traditional medicine is part of the cultural identity of the indigenous people in the region. So promoting these will promote their culture and also self-confidence and pride of the people. There is an export potential through value addition of non-timber forest products. One way also to do economic improvement, and this can also help to finance the costs for protection of the same. Now I'm giving you some, of course, everyone has COVID-19 issues in every country. So let me give you some practical hands-on. So what you need to do to any disease, it's not related to COVID, but any disease, balanced nutrition, balanced mental state, good rest. Avoid to reduce alcohol, smoking, chemical exposure if possible. Moderate exercise. Too much and too little is not good. And avoid the reduction to the virus or to the pathogen. So all these elements makes you surviving the COVID better in case you get it. Herbal remedies for immune boosting. Food is medicine. So if you don't have good food, all the herbal medicine you may buy in shops and wherever you get it will not help if you are base of the human body. To run a human body very well, it needs well nurtured. Food is medicine. And if you don't respect food as medicine, later you will take medicine as food. But we need to correct what the mistake happened. Herbal remedy, homemade and harvested, or from the market, can be used as immune booster. And healthy skin, avoid chemical exposure. Can you imagine that the skin is the largest organ of a human being? It has 2 kilograms of weight and it's the largest organ. Now, I like to give you an analogy. If you imagine you have, can you put the same bottle lotion on a piece of bread and eat it? You will say, I'm a mad person. Yes, you will say that, and I'm sure. That is what the skin does. The skin, once you put on something, it goes inside. Why are the agriculture pest control people, the people who spray pesticides, have to use gloves? Why? Because skin contact makes the poison to enter. It's not only the mouth and the nose and into the lung and into the stomach. No, the skin. So the first step is try to use more healthy skin products. I go to my incubatees. I have incubatees here in my incubator for herbal products, herbal medicine, herbal cosmetics. And once in a while, I pay them a visit. I ask the person, oh, Anke, here, look, this is very herbal. It's 100% herbal. It's okay. What I do, I open the bottle, put a piece on my hand and eat it. And then I look at the face of the person. And the face is usually become a feast. No, you can't eat it. I say, why? You say 100% herbal. What is now a problem? It may not taste well. Yes, it doesn't need to taste for the skin or not for my taste bud. But I must be able to eat the cosmetic. If not, then it's not herbal. What I cannot eat, because the skin, after putting it on the skin will take it into the system of the body, and the liver and so has to take it out. So if you put natural products like coconut oil, cocoa butter, everything what you can eat, put some essential oils which smell very good, and mix it together, and you have something very healthy. And when you do that for several months, you feel healthier. And yet what you have done, reducing chemical exposure. I last wish you next morning on each you understand more, and you may stop using it after. Nutritional food. Now, the contemporary lifestyle is chips and chicken from different high brand restaurants, fast food, quick fix to get your stomach filled, but there's no quality. You put in quantity, but not quality. It's very important to understand your local indigenous vegetables. These are usually seasonal vegetables, seasonal fruits, and these two are very important to your life where you're living. Try to understand your environment, your indigenous fruits and vegetables. Go and collect, prepare meals. If you're not used to it, you need to call the elders, to talk to the elders, talk to scientists, experiment yourself how to prepare indigenous vegetables and fruits. These are very important for healthy diet. Healthy beverages. We know all that the sodas, the fizzy drinks are quick fix. They're sweet, they're tasting nice, they're aromatic, they're easy to have. Any corner on the world, you find the three big giants. I will not mention the names, you know what I mean. Now, when you go where local people can make local drinks from local vegetables and fruit, it will give an option for the client to buy healthy beverages. For example, very simple, start from yourself, start by your own. You have a wedding, you have a big party. What drinks are you offering your people? Here you can force the people to have access to healthy drinks. Make juice, make different herbal teas, provide clean water. You don't need to provide the chemical sodas. It's not needed. So you can start from home by providing people where you have the power to purchase. You are the one buying the stuff for the people to make it organic and make it healthy. Nutritional meat. Now there is a chicken in the cage farming and chicken in range. Normally the chicken in range, we call them village chicken. They are very tough meat, very aromatic meat, and they are more expensive. You pay more money. But it's rather you pay more money in food and later you pay more money in medicine. So nutrition.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Weisheit. We're coming to a close of your time now.
Good. Let me now explain my presentation because they were in different sectors. I have put more information which I was not planning to actually present. This is for reading, so people can read on get some practical solutions, some practical plans, and use it just for their take home. This was not meant to be taught. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Weisheit. I had to confess in the chat that I have had a bag of chips and a beer already tonight. I'm feeling a little guilty. I'm a poor example, but thank you for the reminder. And I've been told before, and you're absolutely correct. And now we have Dr. Pradeep